not that I know of as of now, but Your Honor,
Thank you
please,
for the clarification.
Your Honor, please, if I may, the law includes the exercise of civil and political rights within the ambit of terrorism, Your Honor.
Wait, that's not my
And-
question. I will ask that from Attorney Chair. So let me just go to the question.
Thank you.
Just for brevity and for orderly procedure, so that the rest of my colleagues can ask the question now, and we might be able to finish today.
Thank you.
And then maybe
Republic Act Number 386, an act to ordain and institute the Civil Code of the Philippines.
I would like you to cover this distinction. That there are searches that are for purposes of getting the fruit of the crime.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is already not investigation for purposes of defining...
Article 9. No judge or court shall decline to render judgment by reason of the silence, obscurity, or insufficiency of the laws.
Whether this person is actually a criminal, that's where surveillance can come in, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, and there is this situation for terrorism. When, apart from the fact that you want to put it within the rubric of prosecution of crimes, criminal investigation, preliminary investigation, conviction...
Article 11. Costumes which are contrary to law, public order, or public policy shall not be countenanced.
Whether they are in fact planning to put a bomb inside the television, put it in a super tele...
A costume must be proved as a fact according to the rules of evidence.
Maybe in your memorandum, make this distinction, and I hope the Solgen also can address this, that there are certain instances where the intrusion is not to get the fruit of the evidence, but the intrusion is to prevent terrorism as a unique crime of the 20th.
Hi, this is your Trudy Clarissa Delaga from dusk till dawn. From dawn till dusk. So I'm still at it because I'm in the last phase of this transition period. The work that I am doing cannot be delegated. And it has to do with the question, what are the factors making Talaga Information and Business Consultancy, or TIBC, a viable company for any international, multinational business corporation? Since I have posted this question, ordinarily another person would give answers or would answer this, right? It's partly a rhetorical question because this is what I had posed as the premise of the series of communication that I had submitted to different companies, persons, and organizations. Of course, I'm biased, and I have a ready answer for this question. I will not put the fate of the company, of our life, of our family's future in the hands of a disinterested party. I have to make sure that they would be as committed as I am and as motivated as I am. So let's get on with it. These are the factors that in my effort to convince these conglomerates about the advantages that I offer, I have enumerated them in bullet form, but it took me months and years, and it didn't hurt that I am a filmmaker, I am a writer, I am in the music industry, and that I have my own followers online. So a combination of all the vehicles, close quote and unquote, to for my message to get across, notwithstanding the divide, like geographical location, the language barrier. So I had used every device that I could get my hands into so that I would be understood. Number one, my eligibility to formalize the registration of brand and trademark at the Philippine Intellectual Property Office due to its years of enjoying public patronage that culminated in 2019 live events. We were surprised really by the turnout. Of course, the some people that I had worked with, it's their nth show, nth production. So they are so used to it. They have a template already. But for me to have this collaboration, it was a pleasant surprise. The proof is that I am able to pass on the goodwill to my own daughters in their own ventures and their respective occupation immediately after college. So these years would be around 2009, 2010, 2011. As soon as they took off from college, after the graduation, each of them had embarked on a journey to adulthood, their own adulting, and it had helped that I was able to build goodwill with the community as well. So the bulk of their sales market came from outside family connections and even outside the immediate social circle. So we formed a bond or connection outside of the physical network that we have. Secondly, February 2021, the application for registration of brand and trademark of TIBZ will be applied. So hopefully it won't reach March since it's just the 9th of February. So I I guess I still have 2 to 3 more weeks to do this. And finally, number three, the submitted financial statement at the BIR through RDO 60 is the gateway for further consolidation of records of Clarissa Talaga to its current taxation record. It helps that I have my own tax record beginning 2018, 2019, and so we would provide the basis for the connectivity to other entities which had financial transactions as well. Fourth, the future earnings are not just based on estimated potential income, but a matter of conversion of registered assets to become performing assets after the validation and renewal in the current date. So if other companies will recall, the business heads um, of these conglomerates with past earnings and potential earnings in the future, that actually is one of my advantages. Um, the untapped earnings that I have is still very much intact, and that what I will be submitting is not a draw board computation and calculation of potentials, but it's actually ready for activation through licenses, through past earnings. More on that in the coming days. Number five, the core of the business must include the hard-earned data gatherings where the areas of operation had been found to be successful, and even those which had turned out to be inoperable when we had lost money and found ourselves in dead ends. They too have a role to fulfill in formulating a sound policy and a good business decision, especially that we are now in a pandemic era or time period, that any resources and expenditures that we will be making should conform to various considerations, notwithstanding, the old template that had earned us money. Some things will really, it, kumbaga, it's up for grabs. we are in a very fluid situation that to apply previous template, no matter how proven they are, it's kind of risky. So if I say that we are reorganizing, it is to take into consideration the data that we are now in possession of. The core of the business must be redefined at this time, and whether it's for good or it's just a temporal phase because things will be better, if we get out of this hump, well, it remains to be seen, but it's a gamble to follow a decision that's not in keeping with the realities that we have now. The cost of acquiring this data is documented as part of the company operation expense. We did not just sit on the budget until the overhead and the inflation eats the value of the liquid cash, but they've been put to good use to acquire the rights and the legal personality to represent non-performing assets that can be converted to licensed assets for many crossover industries, which include the following: A, multimedia and user consumer market; B, digital information platforms as well as live public events; letter C, movies and TV rights; letter D, brand and trademark related licenses where goodwill and other intangibles matter. More on this later. And number 6, the current organization structure includes production and finance team who have personal knowledge about the processes that had been resolved, intergovernmental offices, both public offices and private, as well as judicially. So the continued problem that can be encountered by the company from here on will be the basis for the request for security protection under the national security classification. So it is by no means a small thing to be able to be issued the clearances that we are standing on at this time. We had worked so hard to become a viable company, which makes no bone about the disadvantages that come with our uniqueness. But, you know, um, hopefully I was able to communicate and convince the right person to work and to elevate, the papers that I had submitted. So this is yours truly, Clarissa talaga.
Attorney Jokno, would you agree to the proposition that the anti-terrorism law was enacted by the legislature in the exercise of police power?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, right? When Congress decided to legislate the new anti-terrorism law, is it not a fact that the situation has changed from the previous events consisting of terrorist acts?
Human relations.
That is the justification for the new law.
Is there a universal definition for the crime of terrorism?
There is none. There can the member states of the United States have not been able to agree on one, Your Honor.
What could be the reason why there can be no uniform
Rights may be
definition
waived
of terrorism?
unless the waiver is contrary
It's
to law,
beyond this
public
this
order,
question of
public
how to
policy,
identify the essential
morals,
elements
or
that would
good
comprise
customs,
the
or
crime.
prejudicial
What
to
there
a
is
third
agreement on
person
is that there must be a
with a
criminal
right
act for a predicate
recognized by
crime.
law.
And
Is it not because terrorism continuously evolved as a crime?
well, while it does,
Terrorism years ago may be consisting of an actual armed conflict, right?
it may have this, Your Honor.
But
That
over the years, terrorism may come in the form of cyber attack.
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, the situation is that terrorism cannot be strictly defined in a specific way.
Article 9,
Technically,
I find
what
this
we have
very
now is
practical.
a description of acts, correct?
No judge or court shall decline to render judgment by reason of the silence, obscurity,
You
or
said,
insufficiency
I
of
correct-
the
if I
laws.
correctly last,
Can this be a
Alright.
definition
Is that
of
the
ambiguity?
present law on terrorism,
If that should be applied and it fails the strict scrutiny
it's
test.
in your clustering of, in your manifestation
Yes, Your
theory.
Honor.
And that you consider the whole Human Security Act as sufficient for purposes of penalizing terrorism, is that correct?
So we did not make any such allegation in our petition, Your
But I
Honor.
heard you said that, because it enumerates the specific, what you call it, predicate offenses. That's not correct, you said that.
Yes, Your Honor, that the old law, the Human Security Act, is more consistent with the international requirements for terrorism because it requires a criminal act referendum.
Thank you. In your opening statement at page 2, it says there, the ATA offers a smorgasbord of acts, intents, and purposes. The last paragraph of page 3 of the statement, do you see that?
Yes, Your Honor.
But what makes the law unpalatable is the fact that it dispenses with the requirement of a predicate crime. So in your point of view, you would rather have an hard listing of predicate offense as provided in the Human Security Act. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Not exactly, Your Honor. What we are saying only is that a new law will be passed which should
I find
require the commission of a
this
criminal act.
article
rather than
under the
acts
Civil Code of
intended
the
for-
Philippines
And you
very
continue saying that
educational.
which appears,
I refer to the
is that the case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Article 9.
Of EU 2017.
Article 9.
That is one.
Take a deep breath in the mirror. You didn't like it when I wore high heels, but I do. Turned the lock and put my headphones on. You always said you didn't get this song, but I do. I do. Walked in expecting you to be late, but you got here early and you stand and wave. I walked to you. You pulled my chair out and helped me in, and you don't know how nice that is, but I do. And you throw your head back, laughing like a little kid. I think it's strange you can think I'm funny, 'cause he never did. And now I've been spending the last 8 months thinking all love ever does is break and burn and end. But on a Wednesday in a cafe, I watched it begin again. You said you never met one